All right. Welcome everybody to the DU Update Rapid Fire presentation session. And thank you for joining us for the 2021 Sustainability Conference. I hope you have all been enjoying the conference sessions so far, if you've been able to join us for any of the fantastic sessions we had yesterday, or the sessions we've had so far today. And I hope you will continue to join us through the rest of today. My name is Emily Skosid. I'm the Sustainability Program Coordinator here at the University of Denver. And I am so excited about this session. We have 6 fantastic presentations for you all. And they are structured in the presentation style known as PechaKucha. Basically, each of our presenters has 20 slides and 20 seconds per slide to give you information about the program that they're talking about. So that means that they're going to give you a lot of information in about 6.5 minutes. This presentation style, I think, is really fun. You get to learn a lot in not very much time, but also the slides for our presenters are going to auto advance, whether they're ready for it or not. Our presenters are fantastic, and so, they're ready for it, but, do be kind. This is going to be a lighthearted presentation session, and we're just gonna roll with it. And with that, I would love to bring up our first presenter, Hannah Gartner, who will be talking to us about in-vessel composting. Hannah, are you ready? All right, here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Just for fun, I'd like to start out, everyone put in the chat what the first thing you think of when you hear compost, could be good or bad. And with that, I will give you a whirlwind overview of the research project I've been doing about the potential for in-vessel compost at DU. And so as the human population continues to rise, waste management becomes more and more nuanced, especially as we fill up more landfills like this one. And that has a significant impact on climate change. And it's important to note that a lot of that waste stream is food waste, which is a huge burden on our waste problems. And so here's a couple numbers. 40%, that's how much food is wasted worldwide every year. And then 2.18 billion is how much the US spends on food that's ultimately wasted. And then for Colorado, the compost diversion rate was just 5.4%, even though about a third of it could be composted. And so as you can tell by these pictures here, compost is not always super optimal for folks. It takes up a lot of time and a lot of land, and it smells bad, and so people don't really enjoy dealing with it all the time. And it's especially difficult for establishments that have super big waste profiles, like university cafeterias that serve hundreds or even thousands of meals each and every day. And so in-vessel composting is a solution for those entities with large waste profiles. So in case you're wondering what's that, I'll give you a quick preview in this video, if it plays. So this is just showing it going through the machine and breaking down much faster than it would if it was just outside. And then it comes out as compost. And so I studied 3 different models. One is the rotating drum, which spins it around. And then another one is this bin in the middle here that turns food waste into liquid, goes down the drain. And then finally this tunnel method, which was what was in the video. So basically microbes just chew it up and spit it out, which is awesome. So the goals of my project were first to learn about composting and in-vessel systems, but then also to analyze food waste data from the university, as well as the expenditure. And then also I reached out to some colleges with a system to get some input from them and then compare a bunch of different models. So first I did an extensive literature review so that I was informed to some extent. And then for the waste data analysis, I looked at spreadsheets from Sodexo in halls and Nelson dining halls, and also looked at the collection statistics for compost, as well as the board counts or meal swipes per person. And so I then reached out and conducted interviews with folks from colleges, and those went super well. And then I also talked to 5 out of the 9 vendors that I investigated so that I could compare all the different models and produce a recommendation for a DU. So next we have some summary statistics from the waste data analysis. And I found that on average, between those 2 dining halls, it was about 300 pounds per day. And that amounted to almost exactly $1 per pound for the estimated cost. That was according to Sodexo. And then about 1.13 pounds per meal swipe was generated, which was pretty intense. And then this is a graph that just shows the relationship between the weight and the cost of food waste for fall 2019. And I also looked at winter 2020, but this one was more comprehensive. So you can see that it peaks usually midweek, and then the lowest points are on the weekends, and it kind of slowly tapers off throughout the quarter, which is helpful to know. So these are the 3 colleges that I reached out to. And a special shout out to Lori Hamilton, who said she was going to join us this morning from Georgia College. She and the others have been so helpful. And one of the highlights from these interviews is that students have a really important role on each of the campus for the systems, which is cool. And so the winner was this BioCotech unit, and it was cheaper than a lot of the other models and also had the most advantageous return on investment. Plus, the compost that comes out is mature, so it can be directly applied to gardens and landscapes, which is super awesome. And also, they offered us a really cool partnership in which they would provide a funding partner to pay for the technology, and then we just paid them for like a set rate per ton of compost produced. And then also the 2 founders are DU alums, so they're super excited to work with us, which is cool. And then as far as the next option, it was the Orca machine, and that should be coming up on the next slide. But basically that one is you put in, oh, here we go. You put the food waste into the bin, and then it comes out as a liquid effluent. And so it's a lot cleaner than the other options, and it doesn't smell as bad, but you also don't get the soil product, and you can only put food in there. But it also is the smallest option, and it lives in the kitchen actually, which is super convenient. And then the 720 Eco Drum model is the sort of the 3rd best option, as I've determined. And this would be good if the university wants to incorporate all of the campus compost right off the bat, because it is the biggest and has the most processing capacity. And also the energy requirement is super low, which is cool. So if implemented, vessel composting has the potential to significantly reduce universities' waste costs, as well as boost their sustainability. And at the same time, it provides internship and research opportunities for students and a really valuable soil product that we can use right here on campus. And so you might be wondering, what's next? Well, in a couple weeks, I'll be presenting to a variety of university stakeholders, and I hope to see some discussions about getting the ball rolling happening with the understanding that there's a lot more research that needs to be done, especially with the new community commons centralized dining setup. So with that, thank you everyone for listening. I hope that you learned something today, and feel free to email me if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And we will have time at the end of this session to take questions for everybody. So with that, I will move us along to John, Hannah, and Sarah, who will be chatting with us today about the DU Thrift Store.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. We, of course, have had the thrift store on campus for nearly about 4 years now, but what we're really excited about now is that we're going to be moving it into a more permanent space at the Sustainability Market, or our old space in Towers. My name is John Clark. I'm one of the Zero Waste Athletics lead with the Waste team, and joining me today are also my colleagues Sarah Schuler and Hannah Cooper. Of course, as the waste team, one of the things that we are highly concerned about is how much waste is produced, not just in the United States, but also on campus. And it turns out that in the US, each person produces about an average of 5 pounds a day, adding up to about 292 million tons a year. And that's a number so big that we couldn't even quantify it with elephants, to give you an idea of that. But of course, we're wondering what we can do with that. And while composting is one of the initiatives that we're also a part of, we also have been working with the thrift store as a more student engaged process that has been very successful for us. And what that means for us is that we're going to start with this sort of a process. First of all, we set goals and determine our metrics for success. That really helps us to have some direction, helps people know what page we're on. And then after that, we can move on to some more community engagement. What that looks like is we're going to reach out to our partners, our stakeholders, and also any community experts that might be able to help us inform the process that we've been developing. And with that, we develop specific but also flexible protocols. And the idea here is, again, to keep everybody on the same page, but also have enough freedom so that people can pursue creative projects. And also, whenever something changes, we can be able to adapt. And then finally, as with any program with the Center for Sustainability, our last step is to market and launch the program. And with the thrift store, it has been highly effective. And in fact, just this last year, we were able to collect 8 dumpsters worth of donations, 712 meals worth of donated food, and we also collected over 780 books, of which we sold 73, or close to 10%, in just under 2 weeks. So it really is impressive to see these statistics of how people really do get engaged with the thrift store, because it is a pretty accessible platform that actually helps to also empower our students. So this is one of our students that actually was kind enough to write us a testimonial and is also on the call with us today. And basically what we see is that students do feel empowered by this process that's extremely student-centric, allowing people to be creative and also advocate for themselves in this more professional but also academic setting.
Thanks, John. And now we move on to community engagement. As the backbone of almost all operations for the center, we rely on an awesome network of people to help get the thrift store up and moving. Move out leads help establish when and where and other important brainstorming operations for the thrift store, from move out to collection to sales. Team captains lead the operation once it's on the ground, directing and assisting our awesome volunteers and fellow center employees. And of course, the entire operation could not be possible without volunteers from our community, happy to help with collection, setup, sales, and stock and takedown. Our volunteer makeup has come from different groups around DU. They have helped us keep the operation running smoothly for a couple years now, while also allowing us to engage with new people each time we have the thrift store up and running. It's a really awesome opportunity, not just to meet new people, but to really engage with the center as well. And of course, there are great benefits to community engagement, such as helping foster overall better outcomes, enhance public support and satisfaction, and overcome any challenges that we may come across in a particular year.
Thanks, Hannah. So we're now going to start looking towards the future of the DU Thrift Shop by reflecting both on past successes and areas of improvement. So some ways that the thrift shop was successful include the fact that it was beneficial to students in the way it helped teach sustainable practices and waste practices by enforcing this closed loop system. It also helped to build stronger relationships between students on the DU campus and empower students to organize and lead, as John talked about earlier. But despite its successes, there are several areas of improvement, the greatest of which being the new DU Community Commons now houses the Center for Sustainability that was previously occupied in the Centennial Tower space. Now that we have this new space, we're hoping to develop a more permanent location for the thrift shop that will work in tandem with food pantry in that same area. And other areas of improvement include increasing advertising and inclusion of RA and student volunteers, as well as improving security measures at the thrift shop. So all of these opportunities for growth are really exciting, and we're ready to implement them in the future.
So what this really all ends up looking like for us is that we're looking for new ways every year to invigorate campus sustainability, not just with the traditional ideas of how we approach our relationship with the environment, but also how we have relationships with each other. So one of the most important things to us at the WASTE team is making sure that people have the opportunity to practice their self-advocacy and develop leadership opportunities, and then as well as developing that sense of direct community engagement, which is so important to what the thrift store really does in building our campus partnerships. What we see is that there is an increase in the amount of creative innovations that we can pursue. And of course, universities across the United States and around the world are always at the front lines of developing sustainability practices. So with the thrift store, we want to make sure that all of our practices, as they continue to develop, are benefiting the future of sustainability worldwide. And finally, I would like to say thank you all so much for coming. If you do have any questions for the rest of us, I've put our emails at the bottom. We're all part of the WASTE team, so we always love to hear feedback. And if you have everything, or if you have anything that you would like to say to us moving forwards, we would really appreciate that. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you so much, everyone. All right, moving right along, I am going to pass us over to Kaylin and Stella, who will be telling us about the energy challenge at DU. Let me, here. All right, ladies, are you ready?
We're good. Yes.
All right.
All right, hello everybody, I'm Stella,
And I'm Kaylin.
and we both work for the Center for Sustainability and are going to chat with you all today about the Energy Challenge, which is an annual month-long event that the center has put on now for a couple of years and is starting up actually next week, so I'm excited to tell you guys all about it.
So a little bit of introduction. We are from the energy team, which is one of the sections of the Center for Sustainability. And we have 3 programs, which are carbon offsets, REPS, and Green Greeks. Each of these programs caters to different student-related activities and promote reducing energy consumption.
And so we're part of the energy programming section, which our main overarching goal is to reduce personal energy consumption in the student body through conscious but engaging events. So we try and just interact with especially freshmen and sophomores living in dorms to build healthy habits about saving energy in a way that's not just a lecture about turning off your lights in a more kind of tangible way.
So the goal for the Energy Challenge is to get our students to pledge to reduce their energy consumption by participating in fun and sustainable activities. So throughout the month of February, we are hosting a bunch of events that students will be able to participate in, and they will pledge to reduce their energy consumption throughout the month.
So yeah, like I said earlier, we've done this for a couple years now. In the past, it was obviously a lot more in person. We would always finish up with an open mic night at the end, but due to COVID, obviously those things have shifted. But we still try to keep to our central mission of empowering students to take small actions to reduce their personal energy use.
So this year, like Stella said, the Energy Challenge will look different because of COVID. So we have 5 activities that will be COVID safe, where people will pick up like to-go boxes that are kids to like go build the activity that we are talking about.
So our first event is going to be this upcoming week. So week 4 of the quarter, and it's going to be a build your own terrarium. So in the past we would do this, you go and paint a little terrarium or something. But now we're having it where you can come and pick up a kit from the community commons. It's actually just going to be on Tuesday of this upcoming week from 10 to 2. Find us, we'll both be here. And the terrariums are going to be supplied with plants from Green Lady Gardens, which is a local business in the DU community that has some amazing both employees and plants, and we're really excited to support them and have a really successful event. So it's 40 terrarium boxes, so it's first come, first serve. Yeah.
So week 5, we'll be hosting a walkathon. It'll actually be from Monday to Sunday. And so we are going to track this by using like your health app or your Fitbit, any kind of like walking, like step tracking app or wristband. And we will have the event throughout the week, and
We are partnering with Runner's Roost, which is a local running company, and that will be the prize for the person who has the highest average of steps for the week. So yeah, like I said, it'll be tracked via health app and whatever, and they will send a screenshot of whatever walking they have, and the person who wins gets a gift card.
Yeah, and then also in week 5 on that Thursday night at 6 p.m., we're going to be doing a virtual candlelit yoga night. We used to do candlelit yoga at first, and it's always been a super fun event that kind of encourages students to, one, take some time to de-stress. Week 5 is always a really intense time, but also encourage students to turn off their lights for an hour wherever they are. And it's going to be led by Brianna Johnson, who's an amazing yoga instructor. And we're really looking forward to having time to, take a deep breath from the craziness of the quarter, and also have a space to talk about energy awareness and kind of the impact of making small changes like turning off your lights.
So week 6, we're doing a make your own rice heating pad event. Pickup for that will be on Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 2. And we've done this event in the past, and people would come and build it with us, but this year it will also be a kit that you can take home. So the people who get this will receive a bag of rice, a pair of socks, and we will put essential oils in the rice if they want. So the goal of doing this is to get people to heat up this rice pack instead of just turning up their thermostat. So that helps people save money and reduce their energy.
Okay, and then our last event will be in week 7. We're going to be doing a virtual streaming of the movie I Am Greta on that Thursday evening, starting around 6 p.m. Through Zoom. And yeah, we're really excited to show this movie. It came out pretty recently and is only available on like Hulu Plus subscription. So we're hoping that this will open up a platform for more students to be able to see it. I think a lot of the student body knows the name Greta Thunberg and maybe knows some of the things that she's done. But there's so much, and it's so empowering to see another young person kind of taking on these big world challenges that we're trying to address in little ways here at the center and in the DU community. So we're really looking forward to being able to share this movie with more students. And then additionally, just to have a little bit of a more tangible side component, there will be a popcorn pickup by Quinn Popcorns, which is a really great organic non-GMO popcorn company from 10 to 2 on that Thursday in the Center for Sustainability. So if you are going to Zoom in with us later that evening, you can come swing by and pick up some popcorn to pop along virtually with us.
So the Energy Challenge is a month-long event, and it has prizes. So people who reduce their energy get entered into a drawing to win a prize. We will have 3 gift cards to 3 local companies, Chaos, Maria Empanada, and Sweet Cow. And we really believe in supporting local businesses, and these are 3 businesses that really are kind of integral to our community.
And so I would ask that everybody could get out your phones right now, wherever you're watching this, and scan this QR code. This will take you to a link to pledge to reduce your energy this month. And you can put in what specific action you want to do. If you want to turn off your lights, unplug your power cords, use public transportation, whatever for you, just making a pledge to commit to this month. So thank you guys so much for listening. Remember to do it in the dark. And we really hope all of you guys will be able to join us this month in whatever capacity. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stella and Kaylin. Fantastic. Yes, indeed. I hope you all will join us for the Energy Challenge this year. It's going to be different but fun. Flipping right along with our presenters, we're moving on to Pepper, Russell, and Kayla to talk to us about the DU Food Pantry and what it's been up to this year. Friends, are you ready?
I'm ready if everyone else is ready.
Great. All right, and here we go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pepper, and I work on the food team at the Center for Sustainability as the Food Pantry Programming Lead. Today, myself, Kayla, and Russell are going to be talking about what the DU Food Pantry does, why it is an important resource on DU's campus, and then starting to break down stigmas around using food pantries. The food pantry is really unique compared to other pantries for many different reasons, and I'll mention three. First is because we're part of the Center for Sustainability. Most people wouldn't think that a food pantry has anything to do with sustainability, but a lot of reasons people use food pantries stems from underlying issues of food accessibility and food insecurity. The second unique reason is that part of our goal is to provide healthy and nutritious foods for users. One of the ways we do this is through a program called Recipe of the Week, where users can opt in to pick up a bag that includes a recipe. We alter the recipes to include fresh produce and ingredients you would find in our pantry. One of my favorites is 1 skillet Mexican quinoa. Third is the fact that the pantry serves more than just students. We serve undergraduate students, graduate students, faculty, and staff, really anyone with a DUID card who is facing barriers to accessing food resources. Since we cater to so many different people, we really try to build community through supporting and serving the entire DU community. The food pantry is also dependent on monetary and food donations. So part of what the food team does is create events and build community partnerships to bring in donations through food drives and fundraising. And monetary donations allow us to purchase foods with higher nutritional value and support programs like Recipe of the Week.
So as many of us are DU students, we know that meal plans and the restaurants surrounding us can be expensive. In fact, even the closest grocery store, Safeway, is significantly more expensive than other grocery stores like King Soopers in the Denver area. For DU students, the difference between these is a 16-minute walk seen on the right and a 50-minute walk seen on the left. This is a big deal when the price gap is large. As you can see in the price comparison of the exact same basic items, with Safeway being $10.87 more expensive a week, or about $521 a year. Most DU students, especially undergrads, don't have cars, and so their options for food become much more limited and, due to our location, much more expensive. This is not a unique experience, as college students are among the most at-risk groups for food insecurity in young adults, and many universities are in rural or urban food deserts. According to data from the College and University Food Bank Alliance, 30% of college students are food insecure, compared to 12.3% of the general population, which is still 1 in every 8 households. But as you can see on the slide, this is about 1 in every 3 college students. And while this metric does decrease in private universities, it speaks to broader systemic issues regarding the cost of university and their lack of nutritional support for students. This is why students and staff are forced to seek out alternative means to access food, and helping this is the focal point of the DU Food Pantry's mission as a supplementary resource. According to our 2019 to 2020 annual report data, the pantry had 509 visits and gave out a total of 3,111 pounds of food. The average age of users was 27 years old, with our largest patron group being graduate students, as seen in this chart. The second largest being undergraduate students. The majority of our food comes from donations rather than purchases out of our budget. With that, our biggest donators financially have been Sodexo. For physical donations in our 2019 to 2020 year food drive programming, our top 3 contributors were residence halls and the Mortgage School of Education and the library, which emphasizes the connectedness of our DU community, and again, that importance of donations, since that is the majority of how we intake and give out our food. During the onset of the pandemic, the food pantry had to limit its availability and change to a remote pickup system. Of the 40 patrons who came in those initial pandemic weeks, almost a year ago now, 23 or over half were first-time users, which indicates an increased need that will likely continue with COVID-19. This shows just how important the work we do is as a food pantry, especially as we're living in a very unstable and unpredictable period.
As unfortunate as it is, there's a negative connotation surrounding the need to seek out alternatives to meet your basic nutritional needs. This may stem from internal biases, shame, or embarrassment, but we are here to assure you that those in need should not feel that way and are validated. We want to emphasize the fact that the food pantry is not exclusive to those at risk or in need, rather it is open to all staff and faculty. As shown through the statistics presented by Kayla, a large portion of the American population, especially college students, are food insecure. Despite this, our metrics show that the DU Food Pantry is being underutilized by our student body. This allows us to assume that there are swaths of the DU student body that could benefit from the food pantry, but do not. This speaks to the breadth of our mission at the food pantry. Destigmatizing the usage of the food pantry is imperative to ensure a happy, healthy, well-fed, and productive community here at DU. It is a service that is beneficial to anyone that utilizes it as a supplementary food source. We do not recommend but rather a great way to access long-term non-perishables. Pride is not the antidote to shame, but its source. There's nothing wrong with letting others help you out or seek out help. Therefore, we want to emphasize the DU Food Pantry as an outlet to community build, meet new people, and ultimately allow yourself to live up to your full potential. There's no shame in needing or seeking out help, only new opportunities can come of it. Using the food pantry is merely allowing yourself as a student or faculty member to utilize the resources we have at DU. Rather than viewing the DU Food Pantry as a source of shame, the DU Food Pantry should be a source of community building and involvement. There are numerous ways to get involved with the food team beyond visiting the food pantry. Some events we've hosted this past fall include Food for Food, where we partnered with different departments and organizations around the community, as well as hosting various Zoom cooking classes and informational sessions.
Like Russell said, the pantry is an amazing resource on campus for anyone facing food insecurity. Now more than ever, it is important to share this resource, and we're encouraging you all to share this resource by telling friends, colleagues, and sharing information with classes. The pantry is open every Tuesday between 4 and 8 p.m. or by appointment. And for those who are interested in helping support, feel free to reach out about food drives or text to donate.
Thank you so much. That is fantastic information. I do hope that you all will consider engaging with the food pantry going forward. Okay, moving right along. Next, we've got Leah McCord, a graduate fellow in the Center for Sustainability. Leah will be chatting to us about social justice and mobility. Leah, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Hi, as Emily said, I'm Leah. I'm a Master's of Social Work student in Sustainable Development, and I'm the grad lead for the mobility team. We know that environmentalism has mostly focused on the environmental impacts of our activities, and it's now shifting to really looking at the human impact. So we're digging in there. The mobility team runs the bike shop here on campus. We're open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 4 p.m. We are staffed by some amazing sustainability interns. So come out and check them out. Get your bike serviced. It's free for the service, and you just pay for any parts that they need. And we also have Winter Bike-a-Loopsa coming up Friday, February 12th. This is an international event that is encouraging people to bike to work. It's going to be virtual this year because of COVID, but watch the center's social media for some details on events. So if you want to pop in the chat what you think the most popular vehicle in the world is. So we're talking about like most common, not really like what people like, you know, what kind of vehicle people like the most. I think some of it is pretty surprising to a lot of people. Definitely was interesting to me when I started learning about the fact that there are currently about 1 billion bicycles in use worldwide. The Flying Pigeon bicycle from China is the single most produced vehicle in the history of the world. 500 million of those have been produced so far. Then the next probably most common is the Honda Super Cub motorcycle. 100 million have been produced. It's the most produced motor vehicle in history, more than all the cars, all the different types of cars put together. Segue, I like the segue chat, way to go. There are about 1.3 billion cars, trucks, and buses worldwide. The Toyota Corolla being the most produced single car in history. 44 million of those have been produced now. So you can kind of get an idea of the modes that we can have the most impact on if we're trying to address like large group of people and their transport needs. So we're really talking about this transportation justice and looking at where money is spent on public transportation, especially is our public transportation network serving higher income individuals, or is it really working to help make things more accessible for lower income individuals? So, if we're looking at expansion opportunities, you can see if we want to impact the lowest income households, buses are probably the most effective way to do that. 50% who use buses are low income. So that also helps with this transportation and food apartheid epidemic, where people living in vehicleless households are more likely to be living in food deserts. Being able to get a bus to the nearest grocery store is a really good way of providing access to that food. I'm currently interning at the Women's Beam Project. We're working with women who have barriers to employment. One of the biggest barriers is transportation, just getting to interviews and getting to the job first day. So we provide bus passes for all of our employees. It makes a huge difference. But we really want to embrace this idea that there is no one size solution. Just like there's not one size solution for each individual person, there's not a one size solution in every situation. So when we're transitioning things from non-green technology to green technology, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to that. So the Denver Transit Justice Forum is one way that locally we're looking into this issue. Making sure that we're making future transit more just and equitable and sustainable. Excuse me. So Bicycle Colorado is also looking at social justice in their bike advocacy. So they're making sure that when we say this is a safe place to ride, that we're taking into account the needs of marginalized community members and really reducing the threat of over policing that happens in these spaces. So this is a really awesome story where they're trying to make matatus in Kenya more green. The original idea was they would all be replaced. This company is going to go in and just replace the engines. So it's bringing the cost down and making becoming green in Kenya a much more accessible option. This is a great program out of Brazil where they are using bicycle groups and education to talk about democratizing land use and creating like sustainable transportation networks so that people can get from the favelas to jobs in the city center. This is another option if we're looking at like this micromobility last mile kind of stuff. This Saunders Metacycle that will be coming out in September, you can get for $5,000. You can get 80 miles on a single charge. And so it can help close those gaps between homes and public transit. This is an option. It's much more expensive, but they're using these solar charging electric motorcycles to help the rangers in African game preserves protect the animals from poachers. So for $25,000, you can get one of these bikes and donate a bike. This is one of my favorite kind of underlooked aspects of mobility. Horses are still mobility, and it seems weird to think about those in a modern context. But the stories that have been coming out of the Black Lives Matter protests the past year about Black cowboys really taking back to the streets and saying like, we can be in a city in a different context than you would have given us before. So it's really interesting to see how these groups are taking this different mode of transportation and using it as a way to really like get their message across and say like, we're here, you need to listen to us, this is important. So that's me.
All right, fantastic, Leah. Thank you so much. I love that horses are still mobility. It's true. All right. And moving right along, our last, but definitely not our least speaker is Grace Lavandola, who will be talking to us about how the Center for Sustainability tells its story and engages with the community. Grace, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm here.
Fantastic. All right, here we go.
Cool. So, hi everyone. My name is Grace. I'm on the marketing communications team at the center, and I'm the one that sends out the twist. And I also keep our Instagram and Facebook updated. So today I'm going to be giving this short presentation about how you can get more involved with sustainability efforts on both a small and a large scale. So we're really lucky at DU that there's a lot of different groups talking about sustainability on campus, but it can definitely be a little confusing. So hopefully this presentation can help clear up some of the differences between these groups and inspire you to be able to get involved wherever you can. And so a lot of the groups that I'm about to mention have people giving presentations at this conference, whether that's yesterday or today, at least with the on-campus groups, that is. So if you are interested in getting involved, make sure you ask around, and we can definitely provide contact information so that you're able to get in touch with the various leaders of these groups. Cool. So moving along, the first on-campus group that I'm going to talk about is the center. So we're putting on this conference, and it's also who I'm employed by. So students can join the internship program at the center during the spring of every year. And we we have a bunch of different teams that focus on different issue areas like food, mobility, energy, and more. So you might know some of our programming through the Energy Challenge, which is happening very soon, the food pantry, and the bike shop. So next, every student pays a green fee as part of their tuition, and this money actually goes to the Sustainability Committee, or SESCOM, which is a student government group that provides funding for various sustainability related causes and projects. So by filling out some basic forms, campus organizations can easily make their programming more sustainable in whatever ways they can. So last of the three big groups is the Sustainability Council, and that's different from the other two groups because it brings students, staff, and faculty together and able to address and achieve sustainability goals, which is mostly done through the application of the Green Fund. So anyone is able to join different committees that focus on topics similar to the center's teams, and they usually meet once a quarter. So there's also a bunch of clubs on campus with sustainable missions like DivestEU, who aims at getting the university to divest their endowment from fossil fuels, the Food Recovery Network, who helps manage food waste in dining halls, Happy Campers, who provide free menstrual products and menstrual health info to students, and the Pollinator Association, who promote pollinator health on and around campus. So there's a lot of different ways that you can support all of these groups and their missions on campus. If you're attending this conference, you're already doing a great job on the first point, which is to participate in their events. And you can also do a lot of good by sharing the information you hear with your friends and encouraging them to also participate. Lastly, engaging with these groups across their social media accounts and continuing to share the information that way is a great idea too. So the city of Denver itself is also working really hard on a municipal level to implement sustainable practices, but it's also a hub for some really cool sustainable businesses and locally owned gems. So I wanted to take some time to give them a shout out and put you guys on to some of those local businesses. And so the first spot that I wanted to talk about is called Joyfill, which is a woman-owned business that's located in Northwest Denver. And it's a really cool spot where you can buy sustainable home and personal care products, as well as refill your products like soap and laundry detergent in bulk. So this is great because you can reuse the original containers that they came in or use ones that they have had donated. So also nearby to Joyfill is a really cool restaurant called Vital Root. They feature a fully vegetarian menu, and their storefront is 100% wind powered, which I thought was awesome. They also have 6,000 square foot garden where they grow their food and also support over 50 local farmers within Colorado. And for the outdoor enthusiasts, Wilderness Exchange is an independent outdoor outfitter located up near REI. So they have some really awesome consignment sections and carry new items from bigger brands as well. So I really like to go there before I go to REI because supporting them, purchasing the same gear is a great way to shop small instead of going to larger businesses. So supporting these local businesses will look really similar to the ways that you're already supporting on-campus groups. So staying up to date by following their social medias and telling your friends about their missions is a really great way. But if you can afford it, choosing to spend your dollars at these local and small businesses is the easiest way that you can show your support. And so in the world, sustainability has become somewhat of a buzzword in recent history for sure. So it's important to think about how much of that buzz is genuine concern for the well-being of our planet and our communities. And that said, there's some really amazing people and groups that are trying to make a difference on a big scale. So I'm personally really excited about being able to listen to activists who aren't just older white guys that are talking about pressing issues like climate change. So I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with Greta Thunberg, who's shown on the left, who has had amazing success recently. I think they're putting out a documentary about her. And on the right is Issa Harisi, who founded the US Youth Climate Strike in 2019. So both these people are excellent examples. President Biden has also risen to the challenge in this short amount of his presidency so far to tackle climate change, and he's aiming to put climate action on the to-do list of his entire executive branch. So we have already started making changes like rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement and blocking the Keystone XL pipeline, and many more changes are coming soon, hopefully. So a lot of people know about sustainable companies like Patagonia, but there's a lot of cost barriers to people in supporting companies like them. So some more practical companies that you might not know that were sustainable are 7th Generation Cleaning Products, New Belgium Brewing, and Numi Tea Company are just a couple, but a quick Google search can tell you about some other awesome ones as well. And then there's a bunch of organizations operating at a global level to coordinate sustainability and climate protection efforts. So some of the highlights of these groups are the United Nations Environment Program, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Both of those are more policy focused. And then Greenpeace and Slow Food International are more of like grassroots organization. So I've thrown a bunch of names and examples at you in the past few minutes, but what can you personally do to make a difference? So first, doing your own research about the companies and people you're supporting is a great way. If you can do a quick Google search, you can usually figure out a lot of really good information. And then you can also get involved locally with protests and educational programs, and then most importantly, change your own actions. So that was a whirlwind, but to wrap up, thank you guys so much for coming to the Sustainability Conference, and I hope that you've learned at least one new group or program that you're interested in during this presentation, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the conference as well. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Grace. That was fantastic information. So I'm going to stop sharing and invite all of our panelists back on to answer any questions that we have from the audience. I know one question came through on the Q&A from Renee asking about compost. She says, in the ECS building, we have compost, recycle, and landfill bins in our building. And at the end of the day, all three contain basically the same items. How do universities who have successful composting systems overcome these issues?
I can speak to that a little bit. So a lot of the folks that I talked to said that they would have what they called like bin goalies, which are either student volunteers or interns with their sustainability centers that would be near the bins to kind of sort between. Also, signage has become super helpful because when people can see pictures of what goes in each bin, that helps as well, although it's not perfect. And then also some people have, which I know, I'm pretty sure the center does this too, have tabling and events where people can go learn about that. And so I think those are kind of, in general, what people are doing. But that being said, there hasn't been a perfect method established just yet.
Awesome. Yeah, we will field, that was the only question that had come through on the Q&A so far. Certainly, if anyone out there has other questions, we have whole lot of experts standing right here in front of us. You can feel free to put those either in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen or throw them into the chat function if that works better for you. Oh, Kelly's got a question. Does the thrift store operate year-round or at certain times of the year?
Yeah, I can take that one. So in the past, it's only operated at certain times of the year. At the end of quarters, we'll collect, specifically at the end of the year, we'll collect all of the donations, and then we'll open it up sometime in the first couple of weeks, usually for about a week at the beginning of fall quarter the following year. That will likely change as we move into being in a more permanent space. We don't have the logistics for that completely figured out yet, but we're hoping that can be open a little bit more often, especially since we do have a pretty large store of items in our inventory.
Yeah, I can kind of add to that. We have done many pop-up thrift stores in the past, and they are incredibly popular. We get asked all the time to do them, but boy, oh boy, are they a lot of work. Moving all of the items out, setting them up, and then moving them back. So we hope, yes, our permanent thrift store will give folks access to it. It's going to be great. Any other questions out there from the masses?
I think Karen Benson asked in the chat, what do we do with items that don't sell? I can talk about it a little bit, at least. So yeah, we do collect a whole bunch of items typically at the end of the year. So there's some level of sorting that happens right on the front end. So if it's trash, obviously it gets thrown away. But we do try to keep things that don't sell for as long as possible. I'm pretty sure we just keep them in our inventory, which I think is located currently under Hilltop, perhaps. So we'll continue to try and sell it at each additional thrift store. It doesn't like all get donated. And then when we do get rid of things, they do tend to, we try and find more specific organizations that are accepting those items rather than just donating it all to ARC or Goodwill.
I just wanted to add to that too. Something that we've done in the past that's been really cool is a lot of people have those like foam mattress toppers that can't get recycled. They usually get thrown away. And what we've done in the past is we've collected them all. And I believe that they were taken and donated and turned into art. And that was a really cool project to take something that normally would have been thrown away and turn it into something completely brand new.
Yeah, I have a connection with an artist out in Southern Virginia, and she makes life-size gigantic dragons. You can check out her work. Her studio is called The Color of Mud, and you can see photos of life-size dragons that were made out of literally things that students donated to us that could not be resold. All right, well, seeing no other questions come through, I would just like to thank all of our speakers again for putting together these fantastic presentations. I learned a lot, and a lot of these programs are coming out of my office. So that was really fantastic. And thank you all to the audience for engaging with us so thoughtfully and for coming along in this sort of unique rapid fire presentation style. And I hope to see you all later this afternoon with some of our other presentations. We'll be starting our next session at 12:15, getting an update and a history from the Sustainability Council. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday.